What TV show did you try really hard to get into but you just couldn't do it? Arrow. At some point it got all weird, like out of sync, and it'd think I missed episodes and these random new characters acting like they'd been in it for ages. It did my head and I had to walk away. Missed episodes might have been the crossovers. Yeah, I found out that later. I guess maybe the creators assumed only people who watched every parallel show would watch it. When they had the multiple shows running on TV, they would air the crossover episodes all in one sitting. So one Friday night you'd sit down, watch something like Arrow S5E12, then Flash S3E14, then Supergirl S2E12. It makes watching any of those shows a nightmare. It made sense back in the day, because all those shows usually were watched by the same audience. But, in a world where a lot of people binge watch online when a season ends, it's hell and kills rewatching or even getting into a show. I straight up won't watch a show if I have to take notes on when to watch other shows during the binge for everything to make sense. At least when Buffy and Angel crossed over, they wrote it in such a way that you didn't notice the crossover episodes and the plot kept going. This is one of the many reasons that streaming services should offer customizable playlists like Spotify does. Someone curated a playlist that is just all the episodes of Arrow with the relevant crossover episodes inserted at the appropriate time? Cool, watch away. Someone says they have the best order to watch the Star Wars films? Cool, let's get those queued up and be able to pause and resume that specific ordering whenever we want. Someone is a complete masochist who just wants to cry? Let's run the body from Buffy, Doctor Who's The Angels Take Manhattan and Mr. Hooper's death on Sesame Street in a constant loop for 8 hours. It would be so easy for streaming services to implement. I'm constantly frustrated that they haven't. This entire thread is just CW shows and I fully understand. The Man in the High Castle. I thought the premise was intriguing, but it lost me after a while. I even tried to restart it, nope again. I actually really like this show, but that's a great call. The whole time it just felt like it had so much more potential to be great. There were definitely times in the show where it felt lost. Been wanting to do a rewatch for months but haven't been able to do it. I absolutely loved that show for the opening theme and John Smith. Shit, that was a great character and actor. The Smith family arc was the thing that kept me watching. The Pacific side was alright, the sci-fi elements initially bothered me but then I got used to them, and when they crossed over into the Smith family's life it was so moving. Yeah, for sure. The John Smith family arc was so good and he was a great villain because you kept sort of switching between thinking maybe he's got good still in him then seeing some bad shit. Loved the internal conflict he was having too with certain things and the power struggle. The Pacific stuff was okay, but I think a whole series on the East Coast Nazi-occupied USA would be way more interesting. Bang Bus. The storylines were always the same and the cast kept changing so often it was hard to keep track. When I was at college in the UK there was one guy, 18 yo, who was convinced it was real. He just wouldn't believe us that they were porn stars. He was actually saving all his bar work money to go on holiday to California and rent a van. It's like with a van you've got basically an MBA, but you've also got a van. You're not just a man anymore, but you're a man with a van. We could be men with Ven. How to Get Away with Murder. Started out so well and then just got confusing. It's like it's trying too hard to keep going. When will it end? Definitely didn't need to be as long as it is. The Walking Dead. How far can a show about killing zombies go? No matter where the plot with the lead characters goes, they are still trying not to become zombies while killing zombies. It's just a ducking snooze fest. I am gonna hate this thread proceeds to read all of it. The Flash on CW, it's boring and slow. Grey's Anatomy, I'd how people watch that show. My wife started watching it when she was 13, so she now watches because she has invested over half her life watching it. I enjoyed the earlier seasons but it has gone off my radar. When she was 13. Holy shit, that thing has 18 seasons? Good God, is it still going? I think I stopped watching like after Dempsey's ex went away and they had a spin-off. That was a long-ass time ago. There are people that watched it in their teens and actually became real doctors by now. Fear the Walking Dead. The husband was the exact same character from the Mist TV series, which also sucked. None of the characters were likable and for a zombie apocalypse it was sure boring. This show was such a disappointment. I'm someone who's really interested in the build-up and the initial chaos of the outbreaks. Almost every zombie story focuses on a group that's trying to survive after society falls. The show had some real promising ideas, too. Cops shoot zombies that look like, or formerly were, homeless people or minorities. Public outrage. Riots follow, and in the violence there are more infections. The virus activates once people die, so they could have drawn out some real disturbing end of the world shit with a slow burn towards the apocalypse. But no. 3 episodes in and they skip time, can't remember how much, to after the military has declared martial law, and then by the end of the first season we're right back to the wasteland era of the main show. Pretty disappointing. I fully agree with you. The tension from watching the fire spread in their city hooked me immediately, but the next thing you know they're at some rich guy's house and then getting on a boat. I know budget probably played a part, kinda like TWD Season 2 being set on a farm, but still, so much missed potential. I can't get into anything anymore. Watching TV or movies these days feels like I'm getting put in time out or something. Grey's Anatomy. I can't believe it's gone on for 18 or whatever seasons. A lot of us who watch it have watched it since childhood and are now stuck because we want to know how it ends. After they killed Derek, I couldn't give less of a duck. I stopped it after Lexi. George was bad enough, but her too? Noped out after that. George was the beginning of the end for me. But watching that hot guy have to watch his wife, from Roswell, die of cancer was the nail in the coffin. But watching that hot guy have to watch his wife, from Roswell, die of cancer was the nail in the coffin. I stopped watching long before this, but when that actor wanted to leave the show, they said he left his current girlfriend or wife to go live with the Roswell chick on a farm or something. She didn't actually die from cancer. The 100, I tried, I really did, but I just couldn't get into it. Also kept Googling the main character's name cause I thought there's no way she's not related to Reese Witherspoon. I lost interest in that show too, but something I will always respect it for is for how they handled the Mountain Men. Most shows would pull a deus ex machina out of their arse to save the protagonists from the predicament they were in, but the 100 had the balls to have its 2 main characters literally commit genocide. If you haven't watched it, I know it sounds horrific, and it was, but they genuinely didn't have a choice. There were other moments too where they didn't back out of having the characters make truly gut-wrenching decisions if the situation called for it. I know I stopped watching, but I still have a level of respect for the creators doing that. Similarly, in the first season when they had a group of people sacrifice themselves to maintain oxygen levels. It was when the show really got serious and you spent the whole time thinking surely they'd find a way to communicate with the Ark and show that the Earth was livable. But they don't. They celebrate on the ground until they see what looks like a meteor shower and realize it's what bodies launched from the ship look like from the Earth's perspective. The heroes failed. 320 people died to save the ship and they didn't necessarily need to. Absolutely heartbreaking. I haven't watched since they go to that other planet, and haven't watched since. I genuinely love that show, but some of the character decisions I disagree with. But I'm so glad that the creators aren't afraid to make the heroes the villains. The last season's ending has a scene that absolutely rips an involuntary fit of laughter out of you at the most inappropriate thing. It's fantastic. Supernatural. First few seasons were seriously great, then it started repeating itself with more ridicule stuff, and when there is like 15 seasons or something, I had to pull the plug. Heroes. I made it to season 3, but the show got away from itself. Sad that it peaked in season 1. Heroes should have been a one and done type of show. Very sad to see. 2 seasons would have been good. It had a natural progression from S1 to S2, but the writer's strike ducked it. Series 2 inadvertently had the best character death I've seen in anything, because the writer's strike meant they had no way to write around it. Peter takes his girlfriend to what is a dystopian future. He then gets separated from her and travels back in time. Then people in the present solve the problem, which means that the dystopian future his girlfriend is stuck in no longer exists. Explain that one to her parents.